I'm on a retainer with all my clients, and I don't really have a specific hourly, like, oh, I work 10 hours for you this month, even though, when you're on a retainer, you might work 10 hours, you might work 5 hours, you might work 15 hours. It is what it is. You don't go back to the client and be like, oh, I worked 15 hours, even though my hourly rate is, in my mind, I only want to work 10 hours. Every month is different. That month you might have worked 15 hours, and the next month you might only work 7 hours. Like, and to me, it's always balanced out. It's always balanced out. Now, if it's not balancing out with a particular client that you have, then you did it wrong. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here today. My name is Michelle. If you're new here, I talk about life in the middle, I guess. I'm 49, gonna be 50 here pretty soon. And I also talk a lot about business consulting, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today. I own a boutique agency, I guess you could call it, Bulletproof Communications. I've owned it for 15 years. That's how long I've been a consultant. Before that, I did work for the man, I call it. I worked in corporate America for 10 years or so before that. No, probably 15 years before that. Yeah, worked at Dairy Queen before that. Hey now, that was a good time. I could do the dip, we had to turn the cone upside down. We had to turn the cones upside down, and we had to turn the blizzards upside down. I could do that, okay? Anyway, today we're going to talk about how much to charge as a consultant, because I know it's a sticky subject and it's something that I still struggle. After 15 years, I still struggle with this. Today, how I charge as a consultant is way different than how I did it 15 years ago. And I think it's a journey that as a business owner, as a solopreneur, as a consultant, you have to go on your own. You can watch this video. I actually have a sheet for you to fill out, link below in the description, but Claude helped me make this. It's what you should charge. I just printed it out, but it's an HTML because it's fillable. You can fill it in. I wanted to do a PDF, but Claude's like, no, then you can't do a PDF. So, okay, fine. So I put it on my website. And you can fill it out and put in what it asks you is how much, what your income target is, how much money do you want to take home, your take home pay, and then your real costs, your taxes. Claude takes into account your taxes, and then at the end of it, it gives you your minimum billable hours and what you need to charge. I did it. It's really interesting, and everyone is different. So, take this sheet with a grain of salt. Claude does actually have in here different federal tax income brackets. So you can actually do a drop-down box of which tax income bracket you are in. And then also your state income tax too. If you don't know it, just Google what your state income tax. I didn't know for Minnesota. I had to Google it, even though I've been doing taxes for how long. So yeah, and then my business overhead, that was another question to put in here. That's a guesstimate as well, but it was really interesting. You can kind of play with the numbers and see what your hourly rate should be and what your take-home pay should be. The biggest problem most people have when starting their business, especially if you're leaving a corporate job and coming and starting your own business as a consultant, is underpricing yourself. And I would say I probably underpriced myself for the first 5 years. Absolutely. And I probably did it by 30 to 50%. Every month I underpriced myself. And it's a combination of not knowing any better. I didn't really watch YouTube channels. This wasn't really on YouTube, I don't think, 15 years ago. Maybe it was. I never considered even going to YouTube and looking up how much I should charge as a consultant. But the information really wasn't there. And then, so there was a Facebook group, Solopreneurs Facebook group that I joined. And then there was kind of a group here in Minnesota that was a solopreneur group that we all kind of tried to learn from. But other than that, there was just not you were just on your own trying to figure it out. And that first year, especially when you're trying to figure out taxes and everything, it's holy cow. It can be rough. In previous videos, I've said that I've always put away between 35% for taxes, and that I kind of glazed over that. That 35% of the monthly retainer that I charge is actually for federal taxes, state taxes, and my business expenses and my IRA or my SEP. So that 30 to 35% is actually working very hard, very hard for me in covering all those buckets. And so this what you should charge sheet that's on my website, again, link is in below in the description. Claude actually breaks it down, so which is nice. So if you want to be like me and just have a 30-35% bucket for your expenses, state, federal taxes, and what you want to contribute to your retirement, essentially, that's my formula, and it's worked for me every year since I started it, which I probably started in year 2 or 3, because again, the first couple of years you're trying to figure it out. But Claude actually breaks it down a little bit better in this consulting rate calculator that it created. So do that. Even if you've been a consultant for a long time, do this anyway, because I found it really beneficial. So what we're going to talk about, like I said, how much to charge as a consultant, as a solopreneur, as a freelancer, how much should you charge? And really the main thing is you have to pick your pricing model first. So there's 3 different ways to essentially charge a client. You can do it as a project-based fee, which I've done in the past if it's a short-term project. If it's maybe every month is a little different, because some months are going to be lighter than others as you ramp up into a project. Like maybe starting out, that project there isn't a lot going on, but as you ramp up, I actually have that going on right now with a client. And then as it ramps up, then my monthly fee is a lot more. Or maybe it's the other way, like you're doing a lot of work for a client on the front end, and then it slowly kind of backs down. And that's a great tool for when you're onboarding clients. Just know that when you onboard, especially for social, like it doesn't matter, social media, communications, anything, you're doing a lot of work in that first month. So if you want, some people charge more in that first month. Some people charge an onboarding fee of say like $500 or whatever for like paperwork, whatever you want. But it kind of gives you another bucket. It kind of gives you a little bit of wiggle room, because you're probably not going to make your target target hourly rate in that first month when you onboard a client, just because there's a lot of back and forth and a lot to do. Okay, so project-based is one of them, and I already alluded to that one, monthly retainer. That's the one I do all the time. I just have a monthly retainer, and I don't do the onboarding fee because in my mind, this has always worked out for me. I just charge a monthly retainer. I know that first month is going to be a lot more difficult, but I know after that, I just work that into the monthly retainer, and I know after that first month, like it's going to settle down. And then hourly, of course, you can charge an hourly rate. Like you could say, yeah, I'm going to invoice you a flat 5 hours a month at $100 an hour. I'm just going to invoice you $500. You go above that, it's $100 an hour, and I will keep track of it using any various time trackers that you want out there. And a lot of them are free, so you don't have to pay for them. And, they'll just, we will agree to it before I send the invoice, or I will let you know before if I'm going into hour 6, I will let you know. I actually had a virtual assistant that kind of worked that way. Like she charged me a flat 10, I just paid for a flat 10 hours. And then when she used that 10 hours up, then she's like, okay, I'm going to invoice you for another 10 hours. And then she just worked on that 10 hours. And that worked out really great for that line of work. Hourly in like deep thinking, strategy work, high level, you're kind of like the chief marketing officer, high level work, doesn't work as well, I find. And also hourly really gets into that. I don't want people to know how much my hourly rate is. I really don't. I don't want them to know how much I'm working for them. I don't want them to know how many hours a week I'm putting, because they're not paying a per hour charge when they work for me. They're paying for the 20-some years experience, more than that. It's like 30 years experience I have in digital marketing, in social media, in public relations, in communications. They're paying for that. And that's not cheap. But also, I work really fast because I do have all that experience. So it's you know, it's a horse apiece in my mind. And I've had clients try and like nail me down on what my hourly, I'm not even gonna tell you guys what my hourly rate is. Don't worry about it. Your hourly rate is whatever you decide it needs to be when you work through this calculator. I guarantee you it's gonna be over $100 an hour. I can guarantee you that. So yeah, those are the three things: project-based, retainer, hourly. I don't recommend hourly. Project-based I use very sparingly. I pretty much only do retainer with all my clients. Okay. So why, I guess I kind of answered this already, but why do I use retainer? I'm on a retainer with all my clients, and I don't really have a specific hourly, like, oh, I work 10 hours for you this month, even though, when you're on a retainer, you might work 10 hours, you might work 5 hours, you might work 15 hours. It is what it is. You don't go back to the client and be like, oh, I worked 15 hours, even though my hourly rate is, in my mind, I only want to work 10 hours. Every month is different. That month you might have worked 15 hours, and the next month you might only work 7 hours. Like, and to me, it's always balanced out. It's always balanced out. Now, if it's not balancing out with a particular client that you have, then you did it wrong. You probably undervalued yourself, and you probably shortchanged. You probably came in with a less expensive monthly retainer because you wanted to get the client. And that, I understand that. It is so hard not to do that. I understand that you want to get that bid. I understand that you want to get that client, but you can't underbid yourself. You have to know your value. And usually this is something that it takes a few years to figure that out. Just trust me, especially as a woman, I think. We always undervalue ourselves. We always underestimate ourselves, and it takes a few years. So keep that in mind. And I think we're scared. It's almost like we're scared to charge too much. Like, oh, that's too much. It's not. It's not too much. I'm telling you right now. It's not. When I worked for the man back, 15, 20 years ago, we would hire we hired a public relations agency out of New York City. And at that time we were paying them, I think, $20,000, $25,000 a month. I can't even imagine what it would be now. And they weren't doing anything any more special than what I'm doing right now. And that was an agency out of New York. I don't even know what those women were getting paid to work for a New York PR agency. And even today, like, you are competing against PR agencies if you're communication, or digital social media agencies, or marketing communications agencies who do all of the above, right? They have a PR person, they have a digital person, they have a Facebook ad person. Like, you're competing with that. But they have overhead. You really don't. My overhead is my computer, which is paid for. Maybe if I want a new office chair. We don't have a lot of overhead as a solopreneur. They do. They have office space, if they want to entertain clients in a space, and, so now they have employees working there. They have employees, they have health care, they have workman's comp insurance, they have parking spaces, they have taxes, they have a lot of overhead. And as a solopreneur, we don't have that. So we can charge a lot less, but we should be close. We should be close to what that agency is charging. And you'll never know what an agency is charging, unfortunately. But usually an agency does break down. At least when I worked with them, they break down, like, you have one senior person on your account, and that person's billed at $200 an hour. You have one mid-level person, and that person's at $150 an hour. And you have one junior person, that person's at $75 an hour, or whatever, right? Usually they break down so that you know. And with you, as a consultant or PR agency or solopreneur, whatever you are, Like, they get you. They don't get anyone else. They don't get a junior. They don't get a trainee. They don't get the intern. They get you with all your years of experience. So you need to charge for that. You need to know your worth. And sometimes that takes longer. Also, not all hours are billable hours. So this is a problem. This is a conversation. Not a problem, but it's a conversation I've had with a gal that designed my website, which I'm now using Claude to completely redesign what she did like 10 years ago because I hate it, but that's another story. It's just outdated, it just needs updating. But her thing was that I should pay for any training that she needed if she didn't know how to do something for my website that I wanted her to do. And my thing is, that's a you problem. That's not a me problem. I hired you to build my website and get it up and running in what I needed it to do. And if you don't know how to do that, that's a you problem. That's not a me problem. And that was an argument we always had. She's like, well, I have to learn how to do this. Like, I don't know how to do this. It's like, well, freaking learn it then. But I'm not paying for you to learn it. I don't know. That might be a whole nother video. That might be that. Okay, so how much to charge as a consultant? Pick your pricing model, project-based, retainer, hourly. Use this calculator, which is in my description box below. It's just on my website. You don't have to put an email in or anything like that. I'm not collecting emails. I don't care. Okay, don't care. And fill in the information and see what it comes up with. You'll probably be shocked. Just to give you an example, I put in, I wanted to bring home, after taxes, I wanted to bring home $100,000. I do not have health insurance fees because I'm on my husband's health insurance, so that's fantastical. I put in that I wanted to contribute $10,000 to my SEP IRA. I put my business overhead at $15,000. I think that's really high. Like I said, I used to have a lot more expenses. I used to have a virtual assistant. She actually lived not far from me, so she wasn't someone overseas or anything. She was a stay-at-home mom. It was wonderful. I still have a graphic designer on retainer. I pay her every month. But, Claude has actually helped. And Adobe Firefly, I have videos on how I'm using or not using very well Adobe Firefly to create my thumbnails for these YouTube videos and other stuff. So, but yeah, there's software expenses, there's website hosting fees, there's domain fees, there's a lot of tech fees. It's probably not $15,000 a year, but there's a lot of tech fees. Bank fees. Someone pays me through QuickBooks and freaking QuickBooks has to take a fee out of it. Like, suck it, QuickBooks. Anyway. And then Claude put in a slow month buffer, which I thought was interesting. And it's a percent of income to set aside for feast or famine cycles, which that is brilliant because managing your money as a consultant when you don't have a regular paycheck coming in every 2 weeks, it can get pretty hard. So I do appreciate that. The federal income tax bracket, I talked about that. You can do a drop down. The state income tax rate, talked about that. Weeks you plan on working per year. I don't know why Claude put this in there because as a consultant, we work year round. But I put 45 weeks, whatever. And then billable hours per week. Claude said, be honest, admin, business development, unpaid work, eat 40 to 50% of your time. I think that's a little high. I don't know. I put 20 billable hours per week. So then with all that, I want to take home $100,000. My business expenses are $15,000 a year. I put in my tax income, which is high. My federal tax bracket is high, and my state tax income bracket is high. The minimum hourly rate is $205. Monthly revenue needed is $15,000. Annual revenue needed is $184,000. Yeah. Did you think it would be that? I didn't. $200 an hour. I got to bring in $15,000 a month in order to take home $100,000. Taxes is a lot of it. Taxes suck. This is a lot of it. But here's something Claude put in here I thought was really interesting. Claude, it goes, this is your floor, not your ceiling. If this number makes you uncomfortable to say out loud, that's normal. Most people leaving corporate undercharge in their first year. Your rate should also account for your expertise, your results, and the fact that your clients aren't paying benefits anymore. Start here and then add a confidence premium. I like that Claude has a confidence premium. I call it a PITA, a pain in the ass premium. And I had a video where I talked about that before, especially for entrepreneurs and small business owner clients. Definitely have to charge a PITA for that. Corporate clients, not so much, but yeah. Anyway, try it. You don't have to download it. It's right on the website. It's HTML. It's not a PDF or anything like that. You don't need to put in your email. It's once you click on the link, it'll pop up. Try it. Let me know if you like it. Let me know if you like this video. Go ahead and comment below. I read them all.